Well, friends, as I have been warning for a long time, we have a very critical situation between different factions of stars visitors within the solar system. For a better understanding of this fact, it is important to know that our solar system is mostly inhabited by beings, or even consciousness dwelling with a physical plane similar to our density 3-dimensional Earth, but also beyond frequencies up to 8 dimension. Most people don't know that some of these beings and intelligence, consciousness among these factions have traces of power and knowledge ever since the first discoveries made by Nazi group Vril and Tully societies when they made contact with interterrestrial group. Later, these three groups also made contact with Aldebaran group, discovering part of the information about mankind's origins, including different ancient civilizations of the planet Earth, as well as other civilizations beyond the human and humanoid structure. This information has ended up absorbed and transferred through the power and knowledge of Nazis to North Americans, Russians, British, and Chinese governments shortly after the Second World War, creating what was defined as the secret sinister government or just hidden government by mystics and followers of the conspiracy theories. In the middle of 1950 and then concretely 1957, the SSG had direct contacts with groups of Zetas, Greys, Draconian, interterrestrials, and other races with whom they have maintained communication, creating the basis of the parallel hidden government beyond the stand-up governments of these countries. Desegregation happened first in a natural way, but later, in a calculated and controlled manner, dividing mankind in two parts: the contactees and the ones ruled by the control matrix. So, the members of the highest structure of the SSG pyramid understood the true origin of the different human ethnicities, the role of the Anunnaki, the role of the extraterrestrials, the role of 22 projects delegations, ended up putting them in contact with Galactic Group, creating initially 32 security levels on the secret matters, thus formalizing the basis for the existence of the secret segregation. Through time, the Galactic Alliance ended up facing against Kabbalah Vatican secret group. Moreover, to better understand this matter, it is important to note that Kabbalah Vatican represents a line or even a hidden arm of negative extraterrestrials that are divided among Greys, Anunnaks, Zetas, Draconians, Zopats, Dracos, and other races of the past, including interterrestrial beings, which generate a great misunderstanding related to different sources about SGS and different IT groups within government and the pacts made between them. So each group ended up placing internal spies who leak part information which over time formed the basis of the conspiracy theories and others who claim to be channels with access to influential people with the hidden government. So all this is part of the well-structured projects that allow the information to leak, to spontaneously perform a natural selection, inserting the genetic marking programs among the world population, choosing those will be part of the future New World Order. The idea would be a population estimated between 2.5 to a maximum 4 billion human beings who would be able to populate the Earth after the geological events that might occur starting in 2026. This information has been gradually released, most recently by the SSGX member Corey Good, who was interviewed by David Wilcock, generating an impressive impact in the media. As it turned out, truly snapping up many of the previous information from the other contactees and even hidden government farm employees. The factor that very few people can explain refers to the so-called neutral zone, which is a truly an imaginary boundary that exists in the hexagonal orbit of our solar system. The neutral zone periodically reaches the domains of rebel groups, representing the Draconian race and negative Zetas who are linked to political events that took place before the Big War of Orion. As Corey Good reviews, the Moon is divided in sectors similar to countries, and the members of these 22 delegations of the current Galactic Alliance barely bet each other. But the ancient war left remind throughout the Orion stellar quadrant that in the past our solar system has had 5 worlds completely destroyed, and previously, at the peak of the Orion War, 6 other planets larger than Jupiter were disintegrated using heavy quark technology, generating singularities that caused destruction of stars and planets, which culminated with the formation of the Oort ring of asteroids just beyond the orbit of the planetoid Sedna. This information is part of the remains of the Satik solar system structure, which was the ancient name for the current formation called the solar system. So, after this bloody and devastating war, the military power of local federations, 72 plus different groups, from a total of more than 108 federations, was established in an orbital and territorial boundary of different groups in the Milky Way, which is now called the neutral zone or forbidden zone. The members of the Galactic Alliance were considered positive in this neutral zone, and in the same way the rebel group was considered forbidden. The rebel group ended up reformatting their own federations and their own game of interests. As our solar system passes regularly every 26,000 years by the neutral zone, and also every 560 years by the hexagonal route within areas dominated by the rebel groups, during 10,000 to 100 years the rebels have free access to our solar system. So during this period they have access to develop their own researches and international processes, living beings in exile and performing other experiments. This was the case of the souls and beings of Kapila Tauset in Boronak. They were transferred repeatedly Earth while the Earth was orbiting domains of the neutral zone. The planet Earth would become negative, never a planet of peace and light as many wish and mystics aspire. In the middle of this extremely complex configuration there is the SSG and its distinctive 32 security levels up to 2005, which have risen to 38 in 2010, and now in 2016 there are already 42 levels of security, due to the increase of the 5 stellar projects to 9 projects. So the inclusion of the SSG became possible with the game of the Galactic Alliance interests. From there, SSG was accepted by the group of areas for future projects not yet described. These future projects include the transfer of genetic material and human beings genetically selected to the roles of the Castor system, Pollux Avior, Chaula 7, Agena 4, Aldebaran 9. Another recent project is creating further confusion and the channel is transcoding. Recently, Soho and NASA satellite released amazing images of ships larger than the planet Jupiter entering the orbit of the Sun and drain its energy. So these ships, including also physical ships, are some part of Aviarius group and others part of the hidden groups who don't want contact with the military forces of the SSG because they do not accept the warlike and ostentatious mentality. So you guys should evaluate carefully and at the same time understand that this information is not relevant because we sensitives internally know that we have never been alone in the universe. We know that the government's denial is just a matter of political power, economy, and religion, controlling the current humanity through what is defined as control matrix. Therefore, we should continue to develop our inner work, and it's not worth asking who these beings called the Kabbalah by Corey Good are, because their power and strategy involves beings that have completely disregard for the humanity. And whatever is worth for them, this labor is certain. Meanwhile, the SSG, on the other hand, is in the middle of the power of a game between the rebels who give full support to groups what compose the Kabbalah, and in return they want to impose a new world order through a dictatorship where the humanity will not know the truth. The other opposition group linked to the current 42 SSG security groups knows only parts of the real truth. So, what we have is a cosmic chess game between the stellar power of the federations and SSG political and warlike interests, and the groups who want the truth and don't know how to deal with it. Because they know that this is disgusting game that the humanity is just an advanced genetic experiment of more than 22 stellar groups who define themselves as positive. Where does the religion stand now? Where is God and all ethical concepts, purpose, dignity, and honor that are the basis of many religions and the basis of the behavior that guide most human beings? All these questions have placed the highest management of the SSG members in awkward position because they are on a frequency to perform deep genetic experiments that humanity knows nothing about, performed through these pharmaceutical laboratories and all kinds of industry, such as genetic modifying organisms, food, and other experiments. All this is just a part of the current SSG game for power, towards of what 22 groups of Galactic Alliance have been doing with the humanity for over 800 million years of our time.